As we go around the show floor here at Interbike, there's a lot of hardware and software and a lot of clothing. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting people on bikes, and that's why I'm with Tim Blumenthal from Bikes Belong. And Tim, before we get started, give everybody an idea of what Bikes Belong is all about.
Well, Bikes Belong is a national nonprofit funded primarily by the bike industry, and we have this wonderful mission, which is to get more people on bikes more often. So what we're trying to do is make the conditions for bicycling, every type of bicycling, better in every place in America.
And how do you do that?
Well, it's a challenge, but it's actually going very well. And part of it is getting federal funding. Part of it is investing in the best projects of the best local groups, the best national groups, and I'm talking about cycling nonprofit groups. Part of it is giving grants to actually build new bike lanes and bike paths and dirt trails and jump parks and bridges and underpasses and education programs. A little bit of, it's a multifaceted strategy, but a lot of it is political.
Now, speaking of political, there's an initiative going on here at Interbike for a specific amendment in Congress. Tell me about that.
Well, this is actually a big challenge for us. We knew it was coming, and one senator, Tom Coburn from Oklahoma, has basically said that he wants to eliminate federal funding for the key bicycling program, which is called transportation enhancements. It means about $250 million a year, $250 million a year, and it pays for all kinds of facilities that make biking better and safer, not only for enthusiasts, but we're talking about for families, for kids, in communities all across the country. And he just basically thinks, he doesn't get it, he thinks it's a waste of money. But anyway, so what we're doing is we're mobilizing a response and encouraging the other 99 U.S. senators to oppose this amendment. And I think that we have very strong talking points. We have logic on our side. This is a cost-effective investment. It's really been 20 years of progress in the United States on behalf of bicycling. It's on the right track, it's going up, and I think the Coburn Amendment will be defeated, but we still have work to do, not only short-term, but long-term.
Yeah, absolutely. But part of the power of Bikes Belong and some of the other advocacy groups, all the phone calling that's going on here, you told me how many emails were generated over the last few days. It's impressive.
Yeah, so we actually sent out an alert. We have a campaign that's called peopleforbikes.org, and we're trying to unify 1 million Americans in support of bicycling. And we have 350,000 people. So we sent them an email yesterday at about noon. So it's been about 21, 22 hours, and we've generated 30,000 emails. And 30,000 emails is enough to get the attention of just about anyone.
Absolutely. Talk about People for Bikes, because everybody remembers the little buttons and things like that. But you were telling me something sort of impressive. A lot of bike manufacturers are getting involved as well. And what is the impressive thing that they're all doing?
Well, this is an amazing thing. We call it the scenic route home, and home means to the home page of big websites like Trek.com and Giant.com and Shimano.com and SRAM.com and Saris.com. So when you go to their websites today, and this just started yesterday, instead of getting information about their products, you are encouraged and invited to sign the peopleforbikes.org pledge. And I think it's pretty impressive that the industry is willing to devote that prime real estate to helping us build the movement.
You know, I remember when John Burke gave that sort of iconic presentation, The Inconvenient Truth of Bicycling, and said we really need to put our money where our mouth is. To see people do that on their homepage, that really is walking the walk and talking the talk.
Yeah, and everybody in the industry is now firmly committed to this, including Interbike. Interbike is one of our biggest supporters, best supporters. They support us financially. They give us this very prominent space at the Interbike show. I think everybody takes a long-term visionary perspective on bicycling. They realize that if we work together and tell the story is such a good one. I think it's a winning team. When people ride bikes, great things happen.
I love that. You should make that a slogan, I think. Hey, speaking of Interbike, I've been coming since '89. You've been coming a little bit longer. Interbike's having its 30th anniversary. What does that mean to you, and what kind of changes have you seen over the last 30 years?
Well, so I'm 132 years old, all right, and so I have been coming to the show. Actually, it was a New York show starting in 1980, and I've come every year since. And what I would say is the breadth of the industry has expanded. You know, I would say back in the old days, a lot of it was really focused on sort of the 1% of the 1%, the people who were really diehards. It's so cool now. There's so many different elements to bicycling as an activity and to the show. Visually, it's become so impressive. Part of that is technological. It's become more global. Part of that is the ease of travel. It's also really embraced bicycling for transportation, which I think is very exciting. You know, used to be more recreationally focused, and again, it used to be people would walk up and say, "You're involved with what's Bikes Belong? What's that?" And there wasn't much awareness. Advocacy and the idea of making the conditions for bicycling better was not front and center, and here we are.
Definitely front and center, aren't you? For people who aren't here at the show, if they want to get more information, get involved in all of your initiatives, where can they get more information?
Well, I would send them to two places, and I know that's sort of bad form in marketing sense, but if they're an individual citizen and they like riding bikes and they want to see it get better, go to peopleforbikes.org. Peopleforbikes.org. If they're involved in the industry, they want to go to bikesbelong.org and read about what we do.
Excellent. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with all of your initiatives. We appreciate it. Go check out both of those websites. And I'm David Bernstein for InsideCycling.tv.